Welcome back, Dating Decoded listeners. It is so good to be with you all again, and of course with my co-host, Rosalina.
Hey everyone, it's great to be back too, Frank, and I am genuinely excited about today's topic because honestly, I think it's one of those foundational elements that people often overlook or maybe just don't fully grasp how powerful it can be.
You are so right. We're diving into something called Kino today, which, if you're unfamiliar, is short for kinesthetics, and it's all about physical contact in dating. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, we're going to break this down in a way that shows just how crucial understanding physical connection is for building rapport, expressing interest, and, well, moving things forward.
Exactly. It's not just about random touching, it's intentional, it's purposeful, and it's a huge part of communication that goes beyond words. We've all been there, right? That moment where a simple touch can say so much more than a whole conversation. We're going to get into all the nitty gritty of why that is.
So, Kino. It's one of those terms that when you first hear it, you might think, what is that? But as you mentioned, Rosalina, it's actually quite simple. Kinesthetics. It's essentially about physical contact.
Yeah, exactly. And when we talk about it in the context of dating, it's not just any physical contact, right? It's specific.
Precisely. The basic definition is pretty straightforward. It's physical contact that is initiated with a female. But for our purposes, and frankly, what we've learned from many of the sources we follow and people we've interviewed over the years, it's got a deeper layer.
Oh, for sure. It's physical contact that's purposely initiated with a woman. And this is key because it's not just random touching, it's for a specific set of reasons.
Absolutely. It's intended to escalate sexually, to express our own sexuality, to build rapport, which we'll talk a lot about today, and importantly, to establish the level of relationship you have. It's very intentional.
Right, it's not just a casual brush. It has a purpose, a strategic purpose in a way. And I think the reason this is so important, beyond those benefits, is that it fundamentally builds connection. You're not just going to just hold a girl's hand the second you meet her. That'd be a bit much, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be quite the move. Probably not advisable on a first meet unless you're feeling particularly bold, but it highlights the spectrum of Kino, doesn't it? When you first meet someone, you're usually starting with a much lower level.
Exactly. We're talking shaking hands, maybe a friendly hug if the vibe is right, or even just a quick kiss on the cheek, which for some people is already quite a leap depending on where you are.
It's all about gauging that comfort level, isn't it? But the core idea is that every physical interaction, no matter how small, is communicating something about your intent and the relationship dynamic. It's fascinating, really. So, speaking of purpose, let's dive into one of the more, shall we say, direct applications of Kino: sexual escalation. This is where things can get interesting.
Oh, definitely interesting. And I think sometimes this is where people might raise an eyebrow, but it's really about understanding the subtle language of attraction, isn't it?
Precisely. It's not about being pushy, but recognizing that physical contact, even subtle, can, well, shift the dynamic towards something more intimate. The guide we're referencing here gives a really good example.
Yeah, I love this one. It's like, you tell a girl, wow, something smells amazing. Is it you? And then you lean in to smell her, maybe brush her hair a little so you can get closer to her neck. That's described as a pretty sexual move.
Right? And it is. It's that slight invasion of personal space, but done in a way that's, well, compliments her, right? It's not just random. It's a very intentional, subtle way to increase the tension.
It's definitely not a move you'd use on your grandma or, just anyone. It's got that underlying current.
Exactly. And the key here, and this is so important, is knowing the level you're at with the person. You wouldn't just do that with, as the guide puts it, a girl you just met, unless you're not afraid to lose the girl.
Oh, that's a big caveat, Frank. Laughs. Because if you just met someone and you went straight for the neck smell, they might just think you're a bit much or creepy.
Totally. It's that whole don't be afraid to lose the girl part that's fascinating, though. It implies a certain confidence, a willingness to put yourself out there and see what happens. If it doesn't land, it doesn't land, and you move on.
Which in itself is a form of like abundance mindset, right? It's not clinging to every interaction. It's about being authentic and seeing if that authenticity resonates. But it also means you really need to be reading the room, reading her.
Absolutely. You can't just go in with a script. It's about observing her comfort level, her reactions. Is she leaning in too? Is she laughing? Or is she like subtly trying to back away?
The subtle cues. It's all about the subtle cues. And for sexual escalation, it's not always about like immediate gratification. It's building that tension, that playful, almost teasing interaction.
Yeah, it's a dance, isn't it? And sometimes that dance involves a bit of risk. But the reward when it lands is that clear signal that there's a different kind of connection forming. It's moving beyond just friendly chat.
And it's a form of expressing your own desire too without explicitly saying it. That's why Kino is so powerful. It's nonverbal communication at its finest.
Truly. And I think that's why when we talk to some of the authors and experts in this area, they really stress that concept of not being afraid of the outcome. Because if you're too tentative, you never actually get to that escalated stage.
Yeah, it's like you're either going to stay friends or you're going to push it a little to see if there's more there. And that push often involves this kind of physical communication. It's brave in a way.
It is. It's certainly not for the faint of heart, but it's effective when done with awareness and, respect for the other person's boundaries. But it also leads us into how Kino builds rapport, because sexual escalation isn't always the first or only goal, is it?
No, not at all. In fact, building rapport is often the foundation for any kind of escalation, sexual or otherwise.
Exactly. And this is where I think a lot of people might miss the boat if they're only thinking about the sexual aspect. Rapport is, it's about connection, right? Emotional connection first.
Right, the guide really hammers this home. It says rapport is mostly an emotional connection. It typically follows with the physical. And it even gives this like slightly cheeky example about a guy getting horny and starting to touch himself or his girl laughs.
Yeah, that one made me chuckle. But it illustrates the point, doesn't it? The emotion, the internal feeling, often precedes the physical expression of it. It's almost like an instinctual thing.
Yeah, it's very visceral. And then it flips it around for building rapport in a more, I guess, healthy way. It says emotion usually comes first, then physicality after.
That's the crucial part, I think, because you're not just randomly touching someone to build rapport. You're responding to an emotional cue. The example given here is fantastic. If a girl starts to cry or has an emotional outbreak,
Oh, yeah, this is so good because it's so relatable. Your first reaction, they say, should be to comfort her by giving her a hug, holding her hand, bringing her closer, or rubbing her back. Those are all Kino moves, right?
absolutely. And what are those moves doing? They're showing empathy, support, and they're physically reinforcing that you're there for her. It's like moving beyond just being a casual acquaintance.
Totally. And the guide explicitly states these are all moves that show you are more than friends and help build rapport. It's that shift in dynamic from just talking heads to a more intimate, trusting space.
It's establishing a deeper level of comfort. It's saying, I care about you. I'm here for you without like having to actually say those words. The body language does it.
Which is so powerful because words can sometimes feel performative, I guess. But a genuine comforting touch when someone's upset, that's just different. It's authentic.
Right? And what's also cool is that Kino can be reciprocated. Like if you're alone with someone and you hug them and hold their hand, it shows that she trusts you.
That's a huge point. It's not just a one-way street. Her comfort with your touch, her willingness to return it, that's the real indicator of the rapport level. It means she's okay being physically vulnerable with you.
Yeah, it implies a level of safety, doesn't it? That she feels safe enough to allow that kind of physical intimacy. And it also shows that you trust her enough to express your own sexuality, which actually leads us right into our next point, doesn't it? Laughs.
It sure does. It's all connected. It's like a a progression from that initial connection to building trust, and then, if everything aligns, expressing something deeper.
It's almost like a feedback loop. You initiate a touch to build rapport, she responds positively, and that positive response deepens the rapport, making further, potentially more intimate touches feel natural.
Yeah, it's not just like I touched her hand, rapport built. It's about how she reacts. Does she squeeze back? Does she pull away? That feedback is key.
And I think, too, sometimes we get caught up in thinking, oh, Kino is always about advancing things quickly. But here with rapport, it's about slowing down, being present, and using touch to simply be supportive, to connect on a deeper level emotionally.
Definitely. It's the groundwork. You can't skip the groundwork. And those moments of vulnerability when someone is upset or just opening up, those are prime opportunities for Kino to really solidify that connection.
Totally. Think about it. When you're truly close with someone, physical touch becomes so natural. A pat on the back, a hand on the arm, a quick hug. Those aren't sexual necessarily, but they reinforce the bond. Kino is, in a way, just accelerating that natural process.
Yeah, it's like a fast track to what naturally happens over time in friendships and relationships. You're just being a bit more intentional about it.
Right. And that intentionality leads us right into this next big one, using Kino for expressing sexuality.
Ooh, the spicy part. This is where things can get a little more direct, but the guide is really clear about the foundation.
Absolutely. It starts off pretty bluntly, actually. It says, sometimes we like to touch women other than ourselves. So let's get serious over here. Express your sexuality, but make sure the correct level of rapport and relationship status is built.
See, that's the key right there. Correct level of rapport and relationship status. You're not just walking up to a stranger and getting super physical. That would be well, problematic.
Yeah, that would be a very different podcast episode, Laps. But it really emphasizes that this isn't about uh, being a creep. It's about a natural progression once that connection is there.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating desire, but in a way that's received, you know? And the guide gives some really clear examples of what this looks like.
Like, when you show your sexuality by bringing a girl into you as you wrap your arms around her, or when you smack her ass.
Whoa, okay, the smack her ass one might be a bit much for some people, but it definitely makes the point, doesn't it? It's about a very clear, unambiguous signal of attraction.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly direct. It definitely shows you want her, right? But again, context is everything. You're not doing that on a first date, probably, or at least I hope not.
No, probably not. Unless you've already crossed a whole lot of other barriers, then it's mutually understood. But the bringing a girl into you as you wrap your arms around her, that's a classic. That's a very clear, I want to be close to you, I'm attracted to you signal.
Yeah, that's a power move, but also very intimate. It's like I'm drawing you into my space, I'm claiming this moment. And it shows vulnerability too because you're putting yourself out there.
It does. And the guide talks about how these physical contact emotions are expressions. It's not just a physical act, it's communicating a feeling.
And then it lays out this chain of events, which is really interesting. It says the chain of events usually goes as follows: making eye contact, kino, kissing, sexual kino, and then sex.
That's like the roadmap, isn't it? From the initial spark to full intimacy. And it highlights how each step is an escalation.
Yeah, and it says as you go through each event, you are displaying your sexuality in a deeper and more vulnerable level. And conversely, she is also becoming more vulnerable as you escalate the kino through the chain of events.
That's so true. It's a mutual journey of vulnerability. You're putting yourself out there, and she's responding by allowing herself to be more open with you.
It's a beautiful dance, really, when it works. Each step building on the last, each touch, each glance saying something. It's not just random. It's purposeful.
And I think the key here, again, is that it's an escalation, not a jump. You don't go from eye contact straight to sexual kino. There are steps in between, building that comfort and trust.
Right. It's a ladder, not a rocket ship. Laughs. You're testing the waters, feeling out the response before moving to the next rung.
Yeah, and the sexual kino part is interesting because it's distinct from just kino. It implies a different level of intentionality and intimacy.
Definitely. Kino is the broad term, but sexual kino is um, specifically physical contact aimed at direct sexual escalation. It's like past the rapport building stage and firmly in the I want you zone.
It's about making your desires known through physical action, but in a way that respects the shared journey and the level of trust you've built. It's not just about what you want, but what's also appropriate for her in that moment.
Yeah, it's that balance, isn't it? Because if you skip steps or misread the signals, that's when it can go sideways. But when it's done right, it's incredibly powerful in communicating desire and attraction. It's a language all its own.
It really is, and it's so much more effective than just like telling someone you're attracted to them. The physical expression, when it's reciprocated, just hits differently.
Yeah, it's that universal language, right? And speaking of practical application, the guide really breaks down specific moves, which I think is super helpful for anyone trying to um, grasp this. Oh, absolutely. This next part is all about those practical Kino escalation moves and examples. It literally gives you a playbook almost.
Yeah, so let's start at the very beginning when you're just introducing yourself. The guide lists three main moves here: a hug, a kiss on the cheek, which it says depends on environment, and a handshake.
Right, and it immediately dives into the risk assessment, which, is important. It says handshake is safest, hug is a little more riskier, and kiss on the cheek is riskiest. And it specifically adds, based on my opinion.
I love that they put based on my opinion in there. Like, yeah, thanks for the disclaimer, but it's pretty spot on, isn't it? A handshake is the default, no risk move. Hug is a step up, implies a bit more warmth.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't hug someone at a formal business meeting unless you knew them really well, but at a casual social gathering, totally fine. And the kiss on the cheek, that's definitely for certain cultures or situations where there's an immediate, like, friendly vibe already established.
Exactly. It's a good way to test the waters without going too far, too fast. Okay, so that's introductions. What about simple escalation to start further contact?
Ah, this is where it gets really good because these are subtle, almost innocent seeming moves that build comfort. It says simple escalation to start further contact, again, depends on environment. So, like a high five.
Oh, I love a good high five. It's so casual, yet it's still a physical connection.
Totally. And then it goes into hand on her shoulder when laughing. I do that all the time. Like if someone says something funny, you just instinctively put your hand on their arm or shoulder.
Yeah, it's a natural reaction, isn't it? And then hand on back to guide her. That's a classic, like navigating through a crowd or just saying this way. It's a leading gesture without being forceful.
For sure. And then two really interesting ones, adjusting her hair or smelling her.
This smelling her one, I mean, if done right, it can be really charming. Like, wow, you smell amazing. But if it's awkward, it's really, really awkward.
Yeah, that one definitely needs the right context and chemistry. Otherwise, you might just look like a bloodhound. But adjusting her hair, that's quite intimate, actually. Like,
brushing a stray hair away from her face. That's a gentle, caring gesture.
It implies a level of closeness already, doesn't it? And then taking lint off her shirt. That's so charmingly old school, but it also creates a very natural reason to reach out and touch.
It's like, oh, let me help you with that. But it's actually a physical bridge. These are fantastic little subtle moves. Now, moving on to further contact before kissing. This is like the
The
pregame.
warm up. Okay, it lists holding her hand, which, classic romantic move, and then massaging her. That's definitely a step up, like a quick shoulder rub or something. Again, needs the right vibe.
Totally. And then hand on her back again to guide her in a direction. So that one's repeated, which I think emphasizes how useful it is. And then tickling her and hugging her.
Tickling her. That's a bold move. That relies heavily on a playful dynamic. You wouldn't just go tickling someone you barely know.
No, definitely not. But if you're already in that super playful, comfortable zone, it can be a great way to escalate the physical interaction and break the touch barrier in a lighthearted way. And hugging, of course, is just a universal sign of comfort and affection.
Okay, so now we get to the actual to get the kiss section. This is pretty straightforward. It says eye contact, bring her closer to you, look at her lips, and just kiss her. Yeah, it's pretty direct. Don't overthink it, but make sure the signals are there. Eye contact, drawing her in, a quick glance at the lips. Those are all universal cues that you're about to make a move.
It's like a mini play, right? Setting the stage, then going for it. And then, what about when you've already crossed that threshold? When she already trusts you and you've most likely kissed?
This is where it gets really intimate and quite personal. It talks about scenarios like when she's walking around in her/your apartment, preparing drinks, looking at something, whatever.
Yeah, like that comfortable domestic setting. And then the moves slowly approach from behind, touch her hips, get close to her ear, smell her.
Ooh, the smell her comes back. Laughs. But in this context, it's so different, isn't it? It's not a weird random sniff. It's an intimate, close-up sensory experience.
Absolutely. It's sensual. Approaching from behind, touching her hips. These are very strong signals of physical desire and comfort. It's like you're claiming that space, that intimacy.
And getting close to her ear, that's definitely for whispering sweet nothings or just letting your breath brush against her skin. It's very, very intimate.
It's about presence, isn't it? Just being there, physically close, making your desire known through that proximity and light touch. It shows a level of comfort and intimacy that's way beyond a first meeting.
It really ties back to that vulnerability we were talking about earlier, both yours and hers. It's like, I'm allowing you into my personal space, and you're inviting me into yours. It's a beautiful progression, really.
It really ties back to that vulnerability we were talking about earlier, both yours and hers. It's like, I'm allowing you into my personal space, and you're inviting me into yours. It's a beautiful progression, really.
It truly is. And what a deep dive into Kino today, huh? From the basic definition to all these practical moves, I think we've covered quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an essential part of, building connection, expressing desire, and just navigating the physical side of dating. It's all about subtlety and knowing the right level.
Exactly. And it's not about being pushy. It's about being present and understanding those cues. So that just about wraps up this episode of Dating Decoded.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, on this journey into understanding Kino. We really appreciate you tuning in.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes of Dating Decoded. We're going to keep bringing you these deep dives.
Absolutely. We've got more exciting topics lined up in this series, so you won't want to miss what's next. For now, this has been Frank
And Rosalina, we'll catch you on the next one.